Hey, y'all, welcome to CrossPolitic on the Fight Laugh Feast Network.
We're just up here fighting.
Pardon me?
We're just up here fighting.
Yeah, so Pastor Toby's flying home. He's got to preach at church tomorrow. We're at AmFest 2025.
We didn't need him no way. You tell Toby, bye.
I told Toby as he's leaving, I was like,
Toby,
man,
run.
I got so much Toby envy right now because he's flying home to his wife. I want to fly home to my wife and kids right now, but I'm so excited to be here with you guys.
Oh, no, man.
That's a great turn, wasn't it?
I wish y'all wasn't here because I could be home. Thanks, Gabe.
All right.
Great way to make our guests feel good.
I've already told you guys how ignorant I am about you guys, so this is more embarrassing for me than it's for you guys. Vince, what's your website? What's your ministry? What? Just summarize what you're doing real quick for our listeners.
My website is VinceSpeaksTruth.com. That is VinceSpeaksTruth.com. A little bit about myself. I was born on a cotton plantation in Haywood County, Tennessee. My father was a sharecropper. And the only thing that kept me from being at the bottom rung of American society is that I had a father. And he aspired.
Wow, yeah.
And he brought us out of this cotton plantation by getting involved in the insurance industry. And we moved in our first house with running water and a toilet when I was 9 years old.
When were you mind me asking, like what year you were born?
1963.
1963.
And this was in the Jim Crow South. Daddy sharecropper, black. Yeah. And what my dad taught us was hard work, dedication, belief in Christ, and he has never had a bitter bone in his body. He's still alive today. Quick story. Yeah. I was reading some FBI reports, come to find out that the Tennessee Klan was the most violent Klan in the United States of America. The Grand Wizard of the Klan lived in Brownsville, Tennessee, where I was born.
Wow.
The guy was still alive. When I read this report, they said they had a Facebook page named Doyle Ellington. I called my dad. I said, Dad, do you know this guy named Doyle Ellington? Daddy's 81 years old. I said, yeah, boy, I know him. So who is he? Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan.
Wow.
Dad, I never heard of this guy. Why didn't you ever tell me that the Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan lived down the road from us? He said, no consequence.
Come on now.
What do you mean, man?
Come on now.
He didn't mean it. It didn't mean anything.
I said, hold it, Daddy, what do you mean? He said, well, when you was a baby, Doyle and his boys going around doing this and doing that. I saw Doyle he was at the lumber yard. I walked up to him, showed him my 45. Said, you ever mess me or mine? I'm going to blow your GD brains out. Never had no problem with Joel.
Relationship got real good.
Real good.
Yeah, real
quick. Learn.
Cleaned up quick.
You are not oppressed because of your skin color. You're oppressed when you are weak.
Oh, come on now.
When you are weak. And Christianity has turned into a weak religion. We were taught through the civil rights movement to lay down, to get beat up, to ask government to beg, to not turn to Jesus Christ anymore, to turn to man. Are we supposed to turn to man or turn to God? Yeah. God. Yeah. And because of that, we become weak. America's becoming weaker. The black man is really completely weak.
Right.
He's pitied. He's not respected. We have to bring that back. That's why I love you guys. Y'all talk about this masculine Christianity, turning back to God, turning back to strength, turning back to the founders of this nation, standing on principle, not on government, but on God.
Don't act like you listen to our show. Don't act like you listen. You don't listen.
I learned that in Tennessee from my father, and I'm still there with
Vince,
you
that's
today.
great, man.
That's why I love you guys.
Wait, how old is your father?
Thank you for that intro. Hey, I want to get to April.
Well, real quick, everybody knows who April is. Everybody knows.
I just know she's
just
Atlanta,
because
Georgia.
You're ignorant, don't mean everybody else.
Yes,
that's right. Everybody knows. She got more subscribers than all of us put together. All right, so everybody.
That is true.
We're going to get to April in just a minute. But how old is your father?
My dad's 83 now.
83. You know what's
years
funny? So I'll say this real quick and then we'll jump into April. My wife's grandmother died at 80 in 2020. And I went through her whole life with her before she died on video just to get a history for the great-great-grandkids and beyond. And even for ourselves. Grew up in the South in Florida. 1939 is when she was born, I believe. And so like just talking about that era. And by the time she got to 50, she had not brought up anything about like prejudice or racism or having to deal with anything in the South that we think.
And she lived through it.
And she lived through all of it. And so I said, Grandma, so she's like 50 and she's in Minnesota, right? At this point of her telling the story. And I said, Grandma, how come you haven't brought up any racism or the things that we expected you to be going through? And she looked at me. She said, oh, baby, they wasn't going to do anything to me anyway. I was going to do whatever I want to do and wasn't nothing going to stop me from doing that. So the no consequence things,
there it is.
It really resonates. And I was like, where had all of this been as an Now, if you watch that woman operate, you realize, oh, you've been operating like this your whole life, which is why you were so successful.
There it is.
Right? And she didn't matter. She'd walk into a place and she's going to get done whatever she wanted to get done, regardless of what the sign said and how anybody else acted. So I resonate with that.
Those are true Americans.
That's right.
So,
that's right.
So in one sense, you
got to talk to April now.
When Jesus says, okay, I was going to start preaching too.
Yes, to talk to April because you want to talk to April.
April, I would love to hear about what you're doing, your ministry, your website, all that jazz.
Absolutely. I am April Chapman from Unshakable with April Chapman. And I'm mostly on YouTube. So I discuss all things social, cultural, political, and theological from a biblical perspective. So I am complementary in my worldview. Okay, you ain't got to worry about there's no egalitarian stuff here.
We call it patriarchy.
I love the patriarchy. Listen, I have no smoke for the patriarchy. Actually, I talk a lot about matriarchal squalor and several generations within the Black context of, and I'm not saying it as in an inflammatory sense, but bastards raising bastards, that's the outworking of what you see in the Black community. Yeah. So I love the patriarchy. I'd like to hear a balanced conversation about the patriarchy, but patriarchy is good.
Okay, what you mean balanced conversation?
Meaning sometimes, no shade, it can, to overcorrect all of the feminism that has corrupted so many of the denominations, sometimes to overcorrect it, it'll go all the way to the other side to where we can't even speak. So
I don't see the problem.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll be quiet.
See, you are submissive.
Where's the overcorrection?
Y'all see how you have to do this? I'm just joking, sis. I love you. We used to go to the same church.
We did.
Yes.
We did. I didn't find out.
Knox didn't even tell me about this.
Yes, when he was in Atlanta.
He wouldn't tell me that you went to the same church as you. That should be a problem for you. That should be a problem for you.
There was, and I don't know if it's changed now. You're still in Georgia, right?
Yes.
So in Georgia, when I came to Georgia from Minneapolis, one of the things I wanted to figure out was, okay, this is Black Mecca here.
It is.
I want to know, are there any Reformed Black churches anywhere in
two?
And that was it.
There was one and a half. I don't know what they're doing over there now.
You're exactly right.
So April, you're Reformed Baptist?
I am Reformed Baptist. I don't sprinkle the babies, but I love my Presby brothers and sisters.
Okay.
I do.
Wait a second. Did you reach out to me or us like 6 years ago or something? 7 years ago?
I'm trying to think.
She'd have forgotten now. All her
There's some Black
subscribers made
ladies
her
in Georgia
forget.
that had reached out to us who I thought had their podcast. They had a podcast going. Do you remember them?
No, that wasn't me.
Okay, all right.
That wasn't me.
All right.
Yeah, but anyway, inside of Georgia, one of the things that was interesting was like, out of all that was there, I could not find but one or two. I think it was Carter at the time, and then it was Roger Skeppel.
Yeah.
And I could.
We interviewed Roger. We like Roger.
Good brother.
Yeah.
That's my brother.
And so that was it. That was all that I found. I was like, where are the Black Reformed churches at?
See, that's what my first book was about, the Iron Triangle. I found after working in a prison for 5 years, and all these young Black men were coming to jail, and I was wondering, I thought we had overcome, right?
Right.
And I come to find out that we hadn't. And I asked all the Black intelligentsia, why are these young Black men coming to jail in such astronomical numbers? And of course, the old refrain, rich, white conservatives hate Black people. Me being naive, I said, oh, really? And I started a nonprofit to go down there and try to stop some of these young men from going to jail. Found out something pretty interesting. There were no evil, rich, white Republicans down there anywhere in the ghetto. You see a unicorn or a leprechaun before you saw one. But what you saw was three entities making a lot of money off of the chaos. Most Black preachers, most Black politicians, and most Black civil rights workers.
Oh, man, that's
and
right.
I called that group the Iron Triangle. And they were conduits between rich white liberals and the Black community. And their job was to make sure that the Black community voted for the Democratic Party by hook or by crook, period.
And if they told the truth, they wouldn't have that money anymore.
Exactly.
That's what the conduit
They were
is doing.
conduits. They were contractors. And like you said, there's so few Black preachers that you can find that are willing to tell the truth.
Right.
Why? They are in the pocket of the Democrat Party and the rich white liberals. And Black people have been voting 90% for this group for the last 50, 60 years because of that. Our job is to tear that structure down. And when we tear that down, we can get Christ back into the community. And they can start seeing the truth again. Because right now, they've been fed a lie by the Iron Triangle.
So help me with that, because I think you're right. And I've heard you say this before, and so I'm really grateful for that. But help me understand, why are we 13% of the population and yet very targeted? Like we're more than 13% of the population. That's one question. The other one is, how do we start and begin to rebuild it so that that's not how we started. That wasn't the Black culture that I enjoyed or wanted to be like, right? I'm thinking like Black Wall Street type of folks that came out of nothing and didn't ask anybody for nothing and built everything, right? Like that's the lineage that I want, you know? So then why are we so targeted? And then how do we build it back up so that we get those entities, that triangle, out of our business?
April and I have done a lot of content on this, how the civil rights movement was just completely infiltrated by Marxists and communists. They started the movement. When you start going into that movement deeply, and then you look at things like the Martin Luther King Jr. I Have a Dream speech, where he's talking about, I'm dreaming about a day when I'll not be judged by the color of my skin. What does a Christian say? I'm not concerned about how man views me. I'm not concerned about that. I'm concerned about how God views me. So I'm supposed to walk around here asking white people not to judge me by the color of my skin? Not me. Never me. No. When you ask him, you talk about 100 years after the Emancipation Proclamation and the Negro is still not free. Well, my freedom is an unalienable right given me by God. It is irrevocable, non-transferable, and unsellable. Man doesn't give you your freedom. God has already given it to you. You work and exercise your freedom. You don't ask man for it. You defy him to come and try to take it from you. And then he's talking about we will never be satisfied, not until justice rolls down like water and righteousness like a mighty stream. Fancy way of saying never. Because what? Jesus said, I give you peace. I leave my peace with you. You don't go from man for peace. If you go to man for peace, you will always be in turmoil. April, you want to come and get in that?
Well, I was going to say, if you think about it, language that we would use, if you exegete the I have a dream, it's actually not that good. It really isn't. I think we were in love with the homiletic style of Martin Luther King. I think we were enamored with his delivery. I mean, he can rock a speech. But at the fundamental level, when and you guys are probably well aware of this, the late Vodi Bakum talked about it a lot, about the socialist, Marxist, communistic underpinnings of the civil rights movement. Yeah. The reason why I think we were so vulnerable is legitimate grievances that the Black community experienced were exploited, and our history, in essence, was weaponized against us. And instead of us clinging to an objective standard of truth, which is the word of God, they say, well, wait a minute, this is also true, but what can also be true is that God was sovereign in all of that. And so if Joseph could get thrown in a pit to ultimately save his people, why is it that we were struggling to understand that, okay, yes, slavery happened. There are no maverick molecules. God was sovereign in all of that. Did we leave room for the possibility that was just the manner in which the way we got here, so that one, we could be grateful, and that his sovereign plan could play out in the fullness of time? And I don't think a lot of people look at it like that, because they'd rather wallow in the victimization of it all than to say, look what the Lord has done for us in spite of.
Can I take a stab at that real quick?
Sure.
This is kind of maybe a white explanation here.
Be white. It's okay.
It's okay. My take is one of the reasons why the Black people have been targeted so much with political force, satanic force, cultural, and is because it's a proxy war always to Christ. So I'd say the Black community has been, I'd say, more easily manipulated because of the real sins that have happened in the past, because of real injustice that's happened in the past. But they're an easy group to manipulate, and we have this terminology in our neck of the woods called empathy, toxic empathy. Where that empathy, you can say, hey, look what the white people have done to the Black community, and look how they've destroyed them. We need more money. We need more, civil leaders. Keep holding the charge up. We need more Black politicians. So it became a manipulation point, based off real problems in the past. That group is always the most easily targeted and manipulated
and exploited.
Women, you do that to women, not Black, white, all women. Look how abused they've been. Look, and that whole proxy war. It's always about the gospel. It's always about the truth of Christ. Right. And so any group that is easily manipulated will be a target for, in this sense, evil, but really leftists and their attacks.
Well, this is what they had, though. They also had a system set up in the Black community where the Black preacher had so much control. It's like at the end of World War.
Almost what? I didn't.
Where the Black preacher had a lot of control.
Oh yeah,
a lot of control.
Yeah.
At the end of World War II, when they wanted to take down Japan. Once they dropped the atomic bomb, the Japanese were still not going to surrender. They had one condition: we'll surrender if you let us keep our emperor. We said unconditional surrender. But then Harry Truman got smart. He said, hey, we can use the emperor to control the people because the people listen to the emperor. And they went to Hirohito and said, if you do what we'll tell you, we'll let you keep your seat. Tell your people lay their arms and obey. Hirohito did that, and Japan turned almost capitalist overnight. Obey the Americans. Do what they tell you. We haven't had a problem with the Japanese since. They completely rearranged their culture because the emperor told them to. Who was the emperor in the black community? The black preacher.
Oh, absolutely.
And they got him and told him, tell black people their culture is trash. Tell black people they need to integrate. Tell them that the white man's ice is colder. His fire is hotter.
Covet what the white man has or what he's doing.
Turn from God to government. And we did it. And it was a trap because we were on an upward trajectory from 1940 to 1960 where we had the greatest reduction in poverty in the history of the world in the black community. From 80% to about 30%. If we had stayed on that trajectory, we'd be where the Jewish community is now, where the Asian community is now, where the Indian community from India is now in America. Maybe separated from white people, but doing better than they're doing.
I think we'd be doing better because we'd have way more black people.
We would.
Right, like, I mean,
and
just be very honest.
We had our own
Yeah,
institutions.
that's right.
We didn't want to have abortion.
Right.
The family would still be together. The father would still be there. And they usurped it with the civil rights movement and destroyed all of it.
Why did we buy that? I don't understand. Like,
the black preacher who was easily compromised from slavery.
I see.
He was give him a little money.
He was set up from the plantation to control the black community. The master allowed him to exist for control. Gunnar Dahl in his book, The Negro Problem in America, has a whole chapter on this, many chapters, that said that the Negro preacher propagated slavery. He was a tool of the white establishment to keep the black community exactly where they wanted it. And when we look at our history, we find that to be true. Even when we deal with Martin Luther King Jr. and his nemesis, James Jackson, they both had one thing in common. They both wanted integration, and they both wanted government interference.
So help me work through the integration thing. Because I think when people hear integration, they're like, that's great. That's fantastic. Don't we want integration? So
not at the hands of government.
Right. As long as we choose it. It's integration, then it's segregation, and then it's desegregation in the middle.
Yeah.
Desegregation means we're not going to force you to do either. If you want to separate, separate. If you want to come together, come together.
Yeah.
But we're not going to use the law to separate you. We're not going to use the law to make you come together. You have the right to choose. And that's what most people were fighting for, except for the civil rights community.
Yeah, that's what I'm sorry, go ahead,
I was going to say, economically, if you think about it, let's say Vince has a product. He's going to be white for a second.
Suits.
He sells
white suits.
He sells the best suits in town.
Yes.
He's the white guy that does it.
Yeah.
And there are all these black people over here who like, listen, if you want good suits, you got to get them from Vince. Economics would have solved this if it would have, because it was already happening in the South.
Right.
They were like, listen, all of this segregation is bad for business.
Black Wall Street.
Right. Move the artificial barriers out the way and let commerce happen naturally.
Yes.
And it was happening. There are stories even down in Stone Mountain, Georgia, where the KKK was assembling on the top of the mountain, doing what they do. When it came to economics, it was a cooperative effort where the black people were doing business with the white people and they were not having any problems. It would have eventually worked itself out. But the moment you have to do it at the hands of government is when it becomes a problem.
What do you guys think right now? I mean, I went on Jason Whitlock's show and we had a little tiff back and forth on saving black culture.
Tell me about it.
Jason says, no, burn it all down. He's like, no saving black culture. You can't save it. Black culture is horrible. You can look on X, you can look anywhere. It's like black culture is bad. Burn it all down. There's nothing redeemable about it. And I look at black culture and I'm like, whatever that is that you currently see is not to me what black culture actually is. It's what it's turned into because of the federal government coming. This is federal government's kids. So that's who's trained them. That's who's educated them. That's who's discipled them. And so this is what it looks like. Because honestly, if you put blindfolds on, you say, okay, who's been educated by the government? They all act and look and engage the exact same way. And so I'm trying to fight for, and I need a better term here, but is black culture worth saving?
I can remember when they started saying hip hop was a culture. And I said, where did that come from?
Yeah.
I mean, R&B wasn't a culture. Blues wasn't a culture. Rock and roll wasn't a culture. How did hip-hop become a culture? They were planning it then from the left to infiltrate our communities and do what they're doing to our people. Black culture is what we are. That's hip-hop culture. It is something alien. And I said at the TP USA Rise event the other night, I said, they have to start seeing us. We have to start showing them we're not a bunch of cornballs. We're not a bunch of nerds. We have families. We have houses. We have money. We have careers. Which culture, which life do you want? Running the streets, 4 baby mamas, drinking 40s on the porch?
That's hip-hop
going
culture.
to jail? That's hip-hop culture. But black culture is our culture. We haven't changed. We have to show there's a line of demarcation between us and them. As I said on the documentary Race War, I have nothing in common with these people. Nothing.
We are not like them.
Since I'm the minority here,
we're one in Christ Jesus.
I'm a minority.
Amen.
How's it feel, Gabe?
There was this debate going on where black culture, this is in the white Christian world, happened about a month or two ago, where they were saying that, you know, if you come to our church and you bring your black culture with us, you can't be a member until you repent of your black culture. And that is so synonymous with other fights that are happening in our land right now. And this kind of, some of the distinction here I think is super helpful. But like the painting of what's happened with you guys, and I think, but now part of the problem.
What you mean, you guys?
Well, let me put it this way.
Oh, look at you.
part of the problem here is that, you know, what is it like in Chicago? Like black crime is very high, and there's kind of this disproportionate,
not just Chicago, around the country.
And around the country, there's kind of this disproportionate, you know, blacks make up a smaller percentage of our country, but higher crime rates. Okay,
Right.
So there is that statistical problem, but the problem I have is, you know, I mean, I played college basketball. I was the only white guy on my team. Like I grew up in Dallas, Texas.
You got hoops?
And long time ago, sister.
Look at you.
But part of the problem is I don't hear enough black culture speaking up against that problem.
You don't hear it, but it exists.
I know it exists.
Yeah.
But the problem is, what I hear is FBI crime statistics.
Right.
What I hear is Al Sharpton. What I hear is all the black plight. You know, we're getting screwed constantly.
Right.
And then I hear the crime statistics. I'm like, well, you guys kind of deserve it. Look at all the, you know, crimes. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm trying to paint a picture. It's like, I know black culture's good. I have, that's why I brought up the basketball thing. I've had tons of black friends all my life. But I don't hear the good stuff. Yeah. I don't hear the black culture stepping up and painting a picture of what's really going on.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
I'll say this. I think black culture as we know it, contextually how we're talking about it, cannot be redeemed, but black people can be, right? So if we understand the implications of what the gospel accomplishes, it's to save people of every tribe, tongue, nation, and people group. So my goal is always, I lead with the gospel first, and then those who belong to Christ, his sheep, in the fullness of time will come in. What that doesn't mean is that I don't speak to the specific issues that we see in black culture, because they're just sin issues that happen to be magnified on a very large level or a huge level, and the culture is trash, right? So we want to talk about the promiscuity. We want to talk about the homosexuality. We want to talk about the womb assassination, the abortion. Those are things that are directly impacting us as a culture. But I believe God is faithful, and he uses people like us and our voices to speak to those issues. And then from that, he redeems a remnant. But you can throw the whole thing out.
Wow.
So it's kind of a mix between you and Jason.
You and Jason. Yeah.
Throw the whole thing out.
But as part of the issue, though, like I don't talk this way. I don't say white culture. We doing
don't,
this.
right?
Right. What I would like, part of what I'd like to see, and I don't want to get away from distinctions between people groups.
Right.
God, he's beautiful and all he gives, right? But I also, in some sense, I almost have a problem talking about black culture in the sense I feel like so disconnected as Americans when we talk that way.
Well, it's not really American.
WokeandWeaponized.com. Go there right now and get my new book. It outlines the history of American education and why the current public school system can't be reformed. It must be replaced. And this is a well-documented book. Thank you, Dr. Benjamin Merkel, for writing the foreword. And as Sean Ryan said, if you're a parent, read this book. Go to WokeandWeaponized.com today.
This is me. I grew up singing gospel music.
Yes.
Went to, we had a group called Ellison Family. We went to black churches all through the South singing gospel music. And there is a distinct difference between black and white gospel. It just is.
100%. And I don't want to do away with that.
Do you clap on the 2 and the 4 or the 1 and the 3?
2 and the 4.
But so what we have to do is an inventory, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
And there are good parts of black culture because what we did, part of it made America what it is today. We know that.
Oh, man, them barbecue ribs.
Barbecue ribs, the singing, the R&B. When people saw Elvis, they said he's singing black music, and
Jazz,
he was. Jazz,
Yeah,
all of it.
rock and roll.
You don't want to throw that away. That's the best of us. You don't want to throw away when you go to what you would call a quote-unquote black church, and you have the rhythm and the choir and the way the preacher preach. All of that is part of the culture. There's nothing wrong with that. It's the negative parts of it that came out of the victimization of the civil rights movement. That needs to be corrected, and it needs to be corrected now. It's the breakdown of the family. It is the drug abuse and the crime.
Yep.
But the first thing was the feminism that caused the breakdown of the family. It was the woman saying, I don't need a husband. I can raise these boys by myself, and I can't raise girls by myself. But somewhere a woman thought she could raise men by herself, and it turned into a debacle. And what we need to do is demand that we get the right to reconnect the chain and undo the damage. You guys are men of the book. The children of Israel were taken into exile in Babylon. They stayed there for almost 80 years, but they came back and rebuilt the culture. There were a remnant that still remembered who they were, and these old men came back. Ezra and Nehemiah rebuilt the culture, and they exist today. We are that remnant that still remembers who we were, and we have to tell these young people who we were and rebuild the culture and kick all of this foolishness out.
That's why I have 7 kids.
Exactly. There you go.
I have 4.
And you're teaching them properly.
Right.
April's married with a husband with 4 children. That's proper and right.
Homeschool.
Her mother lives with her. That's proper and right. That's black culture. That's what we used to do.
Yeah.
That's what we're still supposed to do. Take care of your parents. Take care of your children.
Yes.
Don't break the law. Work for a living. We still exist, but they want to show them ignorant jokers in the street fighting, raising hell, stealing, Shaniqua them fighting in the street.
Hip-hop culture, what you talking
So,
about.
that's not us.
But I guess part of my question here, a little bit talking about black culture versus American culture, is I feel like because of maybe it's the optics or the rhetoric, but when you talk about black culture, I feel like it's a little retreatist, where it's like we're over here, we need to correct some things, we need to get some things right. You see what I'm
Well,
saying?
that's why I call myself an American Negro. I love that Booker T. Washington was an American Negro. That's who I am.
Yeah.
Those are my people.
Yeah.
That self-sufficiency, that provide and add value to the marketplace, and
let me push back
you
on
get
that.
respect.
And I don't call myself an American white person.
You don't.
Or
You're just
American
an
cracker.
American.
You know? Right, so I understand what you're saying, but why would we even say I'm an American Negro?
Well, if we needed to provide a distinction, but anywhere else in the world, I'd just be an American. I'm okay with being an American, and if you need to know what kind, we can append the Negro part to it. I can take it or leave it. Above all of that, I'm a child of the Most High.
I will say this though: a lot of white people say, "Yeah, I'm Italian," right? Yeah, you know,
Italian
hey, my family is German. Right, but their title isn't out front like that. It's American. I think that comes somewhat from the history that we have. What I'm looking
that also comes the distinction between race and ethnicity.
Ethnicity
is a biblical category. Race is
not.
Well, I agree, but I'm just saying that historically, you haven't seen Italians use as political footballs back and forth the same way.
Yeah.
Right. And I think America has had a hazing process of every immigrant that has come in. Right. That's not unnatural. And
Right.
usually within 20 years, they've integrated purely into the system.
We've not done that.
We have not done that because we were completely used as political footballs back and forth. And so we never got out.
Integration in what system?
Right,
we
exactly.
allowed
I'm the tool.
ourselves to be used that way.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's always the weak
No, it's
get
true.
exploited.
But
Yeah.
even
Well,
so,
this goes back to Vince's point. It's like God gave me freedom. Why am I looking to the government for freedom? God gave it to me.
but some of it was that the fact that when you got a check from the government during COVID, did you have to ask for it, or was it built and baked into the cake?
It was
Okay,
baked.
Hated
baked
that.
into the cake. So everybody took the cookie, right? And so what's happening now, and black culture to me, black people, black culture, however you want to look at it at this point, I'm thinking of the full context, has been a temperature gauge of which direction America is going to go, because they tried it on us first, and then they tried on everybody else. The black culture, one way or another, has been a test tube baby. Like, let's test it and see. And now where black people were in 1960s, 1950s is kind of where white people are right now. Where you get the Moynihan report and it says, look, this is a very dangerous thing.
Yeah.
Black culture and
called
the
it.
parenthood is falling
Yep.
apart.
He called it.
And he got it. He's like, if this falls apart, it won't be too long till the rest of American society
Speaking
follows a
to
direct
that,
direction.
You know what happened after that report, right?
They rejected it.
Lyndon Johnson said, take
Civil Rights
this
Act.
to the civil rights community.
That's right.
And we will put the black man back in the head of his family. Because that's what Moynihan said he wanted to do.
Right.
Instead of using the money for welfare, we need to use all of this money to put the black man back at the head of his family. They took it to the civil rights community. The civil rights community completely rejected it.
Because of those black
The
feminists.
feminists said no. Marriage is like slavery.
Slavery.
If you're going to use
Wow.
that money, we want to use it to put the woman in the head
Yeah.
of the family, and they put the man out clause and welfare. And it was the civil rights community that did it. Martin Luther King Jr.'s fingerprints were all over that. They said no to it. And in one generation, we went from 75% of our children being born in two-parent families to 75% being born out of wedlock.
Yeah.
And it was the civil rights acts and the civil rights community that did it. And they still, right now, even when they did welfare reform, they always resist it. And every time it comes up, they resist it.
And that's my
Because
point.
even Ralph Abernathy said in his book, And the Walls Came Tumbling Down, he said that he saw that welfare was destroying the black family. He went to black politicians and said, look, y'all, we got to do something about this. And he said this. He said it pleased them
Yep.
to have 2 and 3 generations of black people on welfare because they could be controlled. And that's when Ralph said he went to, and he endorsed Ronald Reagan because Ronald Reagan had introduced welfare reform in California for president. They wanted it that way. It's too easy to change it. They can have school choice tomorrow if they vote for it. They don't want it. They can set up a plan tomorrow to help put the family back together. They don't want it. They can put a plan up tomorrow to get the drugs off the street by giving black people the ability to defend themselves in these neighborhoods and not depend on police. They don't want it. They have control. They have 90% of the vote. Why would they change a thing?
Right.
It's our job to go down there and confront this as people of God and Jesus Christ, to tell them the truth and confront these no good, lying black preachers and look them in the eye and do what Jesus did in the temple when he talked to the Sanhedrin and the
Blind
Sadducees.
guides.
You're liars. You're like your father, the devil. Your problem is not the Romans. It's them suckers right over there. They're the problem. You get rid of them, you save yourselves. Don't go to man, go to God. And they are nothing but liars. We have yet to do it. Matter of fact, they still running for office. Who's running down in Texas? Freddie Haynes?
Freddie. Oh, yeah. Jasmine Crockett's pastor, Freddie Haynes, is running for
all
her
of
seat.
Oh my God.
He's a
Al
melanated
Sharpton.
Marxist maggot.
Martin Luther King. We
Horrible
Wow.
person.
These people, they hold them up, and we are reluctant to call them out for who they are. We want to nibble around the edges.
Not me.
No, I call them by name. And I say you're a bunch of perverts, liars, psychopaths, and anti-Christian bigots. A tree is known by the fruit it bears. Look at the condition of the black community. False prophets, all of them.
That's right.
And what do you do
Yeah.
when a tree doesn't bear fruit? You hew it down.
That's right.
And that's what we have to do to it. And we have to speak to that and not be afraid of it any longer.
When you see the trend, the quarter zip trend, does that give you some sort of hope? It doesn't seem
does.
like much.
Just a
Why,
little bit.
why is it? I don't know.
Big deal.
But, okay, it's a big. Why is it such a big deal? Because I feel that way too. But I'm like, yeah, this. Chad Jackson said, he's like, man, this is cosplay. My response was, so was hip hop.
Yeah.
Right. So, but why is it a big deal?
Start.
Okay.
I'd rather see a quarter zip than somebody's behind. So with the sagging pants and stuff,
It always starts small, doesn't it? Even the sagging started small. And I remember I didn't see a lot of tattoos in the black community. Allen Iverson started doing it in NBA. And then Iverson started, and more people started doing it. And nobody's called for correction at that time. The quarter zip movement starts small, like so many other movements do.
Do you know what that is?
Yes, I do.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And it's going to be how the young black women respond to it.
Hold on, he got a black friend. Come on now.
Everybody got
I
reason
just
for
want
a black
everybody to know.
friend.
I take responsibility for my white people.
You have been
You know what I'm
stewarding
saying?
him well.
My white people understand enough about black culture, so you come around them, they gonna know. You don't get to do my white people like that. Do you know what that is? Shame on that speaks lowly of me, sis. What you think this is up in here? I am black in Idaho.
Knox
My
got his
people
house
know.
in order up there.
Is this?
My bad.
Is this?
We're good at doing. We're good at shaming them now,
Yeah.
and it's us that's shaming them. If white culture shamed them, they
I
say,
see. I
but
see.
when we shame them, and we can say, "Boy, pull them pants up. You like a fool." White men do it.
Right,
Oh,
right, right.
Well, get that do rag off your head.
We'd
before
be
I slap
racist
it
if
off.
we did
Yeah.
it.
I see.
Get that do rag off
Everything's
your head,
racist.
boy.
Right.
We can do it. You can call it boy. You can call him boy.
Yeah.
It ain't racist if you do it.
Right.
White man call him boy.
What you mean by that?
Yeah. What you mean by that? But get that do rag off your head. You look like a fool walking around these white folks looking like that.
Right.
Stop it.
Yeah,
Put
right.
your hands up for
I see what you're saying.
What's wrong with you?
So you saying there's a shame culture that's built inside this quarter zip trend that you find really good.
Yes.
Yes.
And now
that's good.
they're bringing it back because they don't want to be shamed anymore. It's like putting 2 glasses of water, a dirty glass, a clean glass in front of a person. Which one you want? You're going to pick the clean glass. But you got to give him a choice. If you give him only the dirty glass, he'll drink the dirty glass if he's thirsty. Give him a choice between dirty and clean, he'll pick clean. We have to start showing them our lives. They've lied about us. Uncle Toms, goobers, weak,
I never heard goober. What's that?
he's a goober. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's goofy.
Oh.
Goobers, weak, nasally.
Cornball.
And
Nasally.
nasally.
Wow. Yeah.
I don't want to be that. They want to be strong. Who's the strong one? Rapping, and guy's got 3 or 4 women on his arm. He got gold around his neck. They have to show that a man like you can have a beautiful wife and children. They have to show a woman like April will marry a man that works, takes care of his family. We have to show the other side of American culture.
And I ain't taking half.
Like we used to see growing up when they told us you can have the American dream. We used to watch those shows on TV that told us we could have the car, we could have the house, we could have the wife and the children. And we said, if I work hard and aspire, I can have that. Tom Ford said something that was interesting. The great designer, Tom Ford.
Yeah.
He said you could go to an American city, see any picture of an American city before 1960, and every man, black or white, wore a suit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you know why? Because they were aspiring. They believed they could have it in America.
Right.
They all believed it. They left and went out in the streets every day to achieve it because they believed it. My father believed it. He had built his own house by the time he was 29 years old. Still lives in it today from the ground up.
So
his home.
So we got a couple minutes left here and would love to, one of the things me and Knox, we talked about this in 2016 when we were starting CrossPolitic, that we really think we'd love to see Reformation revival happen in the black church. And we think that kind of the flip side of what we were talking about earlier, where the government kind of targets the black community, proxy war, whatever but I think also because the black community is easily manipulated, empathy, slavery is happening, all these bad things, that kind of thing. But I think on the flip side, if the black church repents in America, what that could mean for America. In
the black church needs to die. There's but one church, the Church of Jesus Christ. We all need to come together and cut this foolishness out. The concept behind segregation in the church no longer exists. That race is gone. That time is gone. I cannot think of any church unless it's some crazy church that doesn't want black people to come and sit down and congregate with them. Right. I don't know if it exists in America any longer. If it does, it's some crazy church.
It's probably a cult.
Yeah, it's a cult or something. It's something insane.
Right.
But most of the time when white people come to a majority black church, welcome.
Yeah.
When black people go to a majority white church, welcome.
Same. Yeah.
It doesn't matter the white, black thing, Asian thing, no. We're all brothers and sisters in Christ. I think that time is past. It needs to be passed. And I think that many of these preachers, black or white, who are apostate, need to be called out. They have apostate white preachers also. We did call them out. The white culture is going down the tubes just like the black culture,
yes, it is,
because they are liars. And we need to call them out like the Bar Association calls out bad lawyers. You are corrupting what we do. We cannot have it. It's time for you to go. I do it on my show. If somebody lets me know about a black preacher, I'll call him by name. I'll confront him. Because you know what? A brave man, as James A. Garfield said, looks the devil in the eye and calls him a devil. I have no fear of a devil. He cannot touch me. He has no power over me. Same as a racist. I said the reason why racism has never bothered me is because I'm not afraid of racists.
Right.
Because he can be as racist as he wants to be. He steps to me, I'm going to deal with him. So guess what? I never have a problem with them.
Right.
Just like my father. But the people that fear them, they mess with them all the time. And they're running and they're scared. Demons and devils are the same way. They can't come against the children of God. You have to know your power. I walk through you. When I look at you, I smile. You cannot touch me. And you confront them and they flee. We have to teach the children of God the exact same thing again. Don't fear these people. Matter of fact, they are to you what a lamb is to a lion. They see you, they run. They run. They don't stand before you, they run. And you know what, bro? When they come before me,
have a conversation with
when
me.
they come before me, they run. I love confronting them. It makes my day.
Thank you so much, guys, for coming on. I'd like to end. Yeah, you can give him a round of applause here.
Y'all brought your own squad, didn't y'all? Y'all like your whole team.
Yeah, let's go. Well, thank you for joining us at AmFest 2025. Vince,
My pleasure.
April.
Been a fan of you guys. for years.
Website
You guys are
one more
great.
time, real quick. Website one more time.
VinceSpeaksTruth.com.
Unshakableasapril.com.
All right.
All right.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Fun conversation.
All right.
You don't do that.